Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here at midday on Wednesday, November the 5th. We have a lot to talk about over the next few minutes here. First of all, there will be a powerful wind event tonight from the mid-Atlantic region up across the northeast U.S. into New England. Certainly can see some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts later on this evening into the overnight hours in the northeastern states, which certainly can lead to some power outages. We'll have an intensifying low pressure area that moves all the way from the Great Lakes to the eastern part of New England in the overnight hours. And that combined with an incoming high will cause a tightening pressure gradient, and the result will be, again, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts tonight over a large part of the northeastern quadrant of the nation. Then we'll focus in on an Arctic invasion coming to the eastern U.S. early next week. This looks like it'll have an impact all the way from southern Florida to Maine with well below normal temperatures on Monday and Tuesday. That Arctic air outbreak will also feature a very vigorous upper level low that I believe will dive south and east all the way into the central Appalachians. Some of the models don't agree with that, but I believe that is going to end up being the position of this upper level low. And down there over the Appalachians, that'll cause some high levels of instability over a large portion of the eastern U.S. So I do expect to see that not only will we be experiencing well below normal temperatures, but there'll be accumulating snow in places like the Great Lakes, interior sections of the Mid-Atlantic region, interior sections of the northeast U.S. And with that high level of instability as a result of that upper level low, and we'll see that in a moment or two, very vigorous upper level low, I believe snow showers can make their way all the way into the immediate I-95 corridor region early next week, from D.C. to Baltimore to Philadelphia to New York City. So we'll focus in on that Arctic invasion coming. But first, let's talk about tonight's event. Again, a high wind event for the northeastern states. This is the current map, the surface map across the Great Lakes, the northeastern part of the nation. All these black lines represent lines of equal pressure, what we call isobars, and you can just envision that the surface low pressure area right now is right in this area. It deepens as time progresses over the overnight hours and moves to a position off the eastern coast of Maine here as a stronger low later on tonight. So that is one key player tonight, an intensifying low pressure area that will ride along this incoming frontal boundary zone. And all these black lines here, you'll see on a surface map later on tonight, they will tighten up, and that is usually indicative of an incoming high combining with a departing low, and the result, increase in intensity in the winds. And again, I think this whole area from New England down across the northeast U.S. into much of the mid-Atlantic region can experience some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts later tonight. Certainly when you're talking about up to 50 or 60 miles per hour, you can certainly expect some power outages. Hopefully not a widespread power outage event, but that certainly is a concern when you're dealing with wind gusts such as this, 50 to 60 miles per hour. The winds will relax on Thursday morning as that high pressure starts to kind of dominate the scene and edges into the northeastern part of the nation while that strong low moves farther away. Well, one last set of maps with respect to this evening's high wind event in the northeastern states. We'll be using here the high resolution version of the NAM model here. It just came out, the 12Z version of the NAM model. And we saw a moment ago that actual surface pressure map with those isobars. Well, here is the low as of early this morning over the Great Lakes region. Now watch as we go through the hourly forecast maps here on this particular part of the country here. It was a 1003 millibar low at the beginning of the day here today. And by the time we get to later on this evening, out into the overnight hours, it's down to a 991 millibar low. And here we go, 990, 989. And notice here an incoming high pressure system over the Midwest here. So the difference in pressure between this 1025 high and this 989 low over a pretty short distance will help to increase this pressure gradient. You can see these lines of equal pressure right here that are rather tight. And again, anytime these lines are tight, that usually translates to a stronger wind flow, and indeed that will be the case here later on tonight. A west to northwest flow, especially in those hours immediately behind the cold frontal passage. Right behind that cold frontal passage, you'll see pressures rise rather dramatically, and it's that time period where the pressures rise dramatically in the immediate hours after the cold front where you might see some of the highest wind gusts later on tonight. Again, 50 to 60 miles per hour or so in much of this part of the nation here, and that certainly can lead to some power outages. Again, all a result of an intensifying low pressure area that ends up by later on tonight as a 989 millibar low just to the east of coastal Maine. Now let's focus in on the Arctic invasion coming for the early part of next week, and this will be a big deal all the way from southern Florida up to Maine. The entire eastern third of the nation will feel the impact of this Arctic air mass that, by the way, had its origins over the North Pole region. We went over that in the video discussion yesterday, that it originates over the North Pole region and dives due south through Canada into the central U.S. and then spills on into the eastern U.S. by Sunday night, Monday time frame. Wanted to first start off with the GS model from last night. One of the key players I'll be watching over the next several days is, in fact, this upper level low associated with this Arctic air outbreak. This will play a big role in terms of who will get accumulating snow. Again, Sunday night, Monday night time period. The GFS, notice here, and we're starting off in the middle of the day on Sunday here, just for the sake of time, and we'll move forward here. Notice the position of this upper level low, centered over the Great Lakes region, and then it kind of pulls off to the east and then northeast by the time we get to Monday night. So again, it traveled from the central Great Lakes north and east towards the southeastern part of Canada between midday Sunday and Monday night time frame. Now, let's take a look at the European model here. Same time period, starting off here midday on Sunday with that upper level feature. We're looking at 500 millibar height anomalies here for midday Sunday. Again, starting off like the GFS over the Great Lakes region, but watch what this model does. The European model dives this down to the south and east, and it becomes a very intense upper level low sitting right over the southern mid-Atlantic, the Tennessee Valley region, the Carolinas here by the time we get to Monday evening. So you're looking at this in the European model compared to this for the GFS model. I absolutely favor the scenario depicted here by the European model. The GFS model has long had a history of progressing too fast with some of these upper level features, and the European model instead is kind of slowing it down and kind of digging it to the south and east. With this kind of a feature in the upper atmosphere on Monday afternoon, Monday evening, there will be a ton of instability in this part of the nation, and that could include that could help to produce some heavy snow showers in the Appalachians, and some of those snow showers even can work their way into the I-95 corridor region on Monday afternoon, Monday evening time frame. Again, this is still several days away, but I absolutely tend to favor this kind of a position of that upper level feature. That is the key player here, and something I'll watch over the next few days. We'll go a little bit forward in time. Here we go all the way out to Tuesday morning, and now notice even the upper level low has some impact all the way down to Florida. And we'll see in a moment here with the temperature anomalies. It gets way below normal all the way down to southern Florida. It's possible you see temperatures in the 40s, for example, in places like Miami by Tuesday morning or so. Now let's shift gears from the 500 millibar height anomaly and take a look at, sticking with the European model here, the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Again, starting off with midday on Sunday forecast map, and here we have temperatures way down here on the scale, some maybe 20 degrees below normal for this time of the year, centered over the middle part of the nation come midday on Sunday. Again, this is the 0Z run of the European model, and it slowly dives to the south and east. And when I say dives to the south and east, I mean all the way down into Georgia and Florida by Monday night and even Tuesday morning. This is the forecast map of Tuesday morning with way below normal conditions over the Gulf region and certainly all the way down into southern part of Florida. Again, you can see temperatures in the 40s in some of those southern and central Florida areas by the time you get to Tuesday morning here. But again, we're looking at Monday and Tuesday, and this will be a high impact Arctic air invasion all the way from Florida to New England here in the early part of next week. Now let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps, again using the European model. I believe it has a better handle on the situation in the upper levels, that 500 millibar situation here. Now we're starting off again midday on Sunday. Here comes the Arctic air mass, and you have this one low pressure system right here, surface low, pretty strong low over the Great Lakes, and then a frontal system coming out from that by the time we get to the midday, latter part of the day on a Sunday. That will be dropping to the south and east. Let's go a little farther in time here. Here we go. By the time we get to Sunday evening, that front kind of clears the coast at this time, and you just have a lot of cold air right in this area, starting to plunge to this south and east. Now, let's go out a little farther in time into the early hours on Monday. Again, you have these blue lines here, these dashed blue lines going all the way down into the northern Gulf states here. We've talked about the 540 thickness level right here. You can see that here. Kind of an important thickness level. By thickness, I mean it represents the thickness of that layer between the surface and the middle part of the atmosphere. Another way to put that is between 1,000 millibars and 500 millibars. The lower the thickness, the lower the temperature. And this is often used in the wintertime as kind of a rain snow line here. So it's an important thickness level, 540, for meteorologists to look at during the winter. When you see it going all the way down to the northern Gulf, that is a deep dive to the south and east of an Arctic air mass here, and the thickness levels get actually below 516 thickness here. We have the coldest core right over the Tennessee Valley. Now, notice the snow here depicted kind of scattered, but this is associated with that upper level feature. And again, dives to the south and east right into the higher elevations of the Appalachians here. And this, I believe, is quite a likely scenario. We'll see some snow showers that certainly can accumulate some of those higher elevation locations of the Appalachians. And you're also getting some streamers to show up in the Great Lakes region. That will be the case all the way into Monday night, into Tuesday. Don't be surprised if there's some snow shower activity all the way into the immediate I-95 corridor region. And these are snow bands coming in off the Great Lakes. This will be kind of a turn on of the Great Lakes snow machine here. You still have relatively warm waters in the Great Lakes right now, as we are only into the early and middle part of November here. So when you have cold Arctic air flowing over still relatively warm waters, that steepens the lapse rate, makes it more unstable, and helps to produce some heavier snow bands here. You can kind of see these streamers. And by the way, we talk about the isobar pattern. You have the strong low here and a high over the northern Gulf. And look at this pressure gradient right here. These tight lines, these tight black lines of equal pressure. In other words, we will have some fierce winds too to go along with this cold air outbreak, helping to produce those snow bands coming in off the Great Lakes into the downstream locations here. So expect to see some strong winds in this cold air mass Monday into Tuesday. Let's go a little bit farther in time. And here we go, finally into the day on Wednesday. By this time, that high that certainly had its origins way up over Canada settles all the way down into northern Florida. And you could have some very cold temperatures all the way to Wednesday morning across the southeastern part of the nation here. And certainly below normal temperatures will continue into midweek of next week as well across the northeastern part of the nation. So a lot going on. First of all, a powerful wind event tonight, mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S., into New England, 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And then an Arctic invasion comes early next week, and it will be quite an impressive Arctic air plunge all the way into the southeastern states. Again, impacting Florida up to Maine. Certainly with that vigorous upper level low, there will be some accumulating snow in many areas. Look to accumulating snow in the Great Lakes region, the interior mid-Atlantic, the interior northeast, and I do believe there can even be some snow showers, at least snow showers, coming into the immediate I-95 corridor region. So a lot going on here over the next several days. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.